We've seen that pretty much in every week and week out to see those energy prices hitting a new record high. Now, when you look at the summit, it really is about the energy crisis that dominates the conversation here in Brussels today. But the question is how to fix it. And that's where divisions come into play. As you know, Guy, the energy market in Europe is incredibly complex and it's incredibly fragmented. There's countries that tend to use nuclear, others that goes or would go for gas. And that's the question, how do you bridge this transition into greener energy? Now, going into the summit, you remember very well that the French, but also the Spanish, had said that they wanted to see collective EU action, whether that meant renegotiating some of the big gas contracts as a single unit, or perhaps, the storage of that gas to do it with joint procurement. That was something they put on the table. But today, the impression that we get is that this is probably not going to fly. In fact, Emmanuel Macron decided not to speak about this today as he made his way in, and the Spanish Prime Minister said that, well, ultimately, this is Brussels. Things take a long time to kind of manifest in the way that you would want them to. So again, when it comes to tomorrow and that day two of the summit, we're not really expecting any big solutions. And that is a big political headache for governments across Europe, who, as you know, are really trying to shield households from that increase in the wholesale price.
The idea eventually is that they could all kind of band together and have more pricing and bargaining power when it comes to wholesale buying of energy from the likes of, say, Russia. I find it really hard to see how 27 nations are going to do that, particularly when we have, changing of the guard over in Germany and then an election in France as well.
Yes, and Alex, what supporters of that idea argue is that when you look at the vaccine campaign in Europe, the fact that this was able to be done and get done as EU 27 in bulk actually brought down the price and was able to put the EU in a better negotiating position with some of the pharma companies. So they argue we should replicate this with the energy companies. The problem here, as you say, is that this energy market is incredibly fragmented. There's countries that are much more advanced on the renewable energy. There's others that are very much dependent on gas. When you look at Germany, they've spent a ton of money on that Nord Stream pipeline to still rely on gas. And then, of course, you have the French who say, if anything, we should be turning to nuclear. But that is a big political no-go in other countries. So again, the issue here, perhaps well-intentioned, but the problem is how to execute a good idea. And joint procurement is actually or could be very hard and very problematic if you look at the different energy components that are made in every country. So again, to see this happening tomorrow, I think that's very unlikely that we're going to see anything that looks like EU 27 procurement.